as long as you have an open mind and you do like beer, or if you're not sure you like beer, to come give it a try. I always think that it's best to try something at least once. And if you don't like it, then you could say, oh, I've already tried it. But you won't know unless you try. And you just never know who you're going to meet.
Welcome to Zestful Aging, where I talk with fascinating, talented, and inspiring guests who reflect on the adventures and challenges of aging and who are living their lives with vibrance and purpose. I'm your host, Nicole Christina, psychotherapist, writer, and fellow Zestful Ager. I want to invite you to my brand new free webinar, Zestful Aging. Here's how you do it. You can sign up at NicoleChristina.com. And as always, I appreciate your feedback. Well, I have my Jack Russell Terrier Sparky right beside me and my coffee in my hand. So let's begin. In 2013, Gloria Rakowski noticed the lack of women at craft beer events in Syracuse, New York, and the idea was born to start a meetup for like-minded women. The first meeting had 14 women, and now the Syracuse Women of Craft Beer have at least 100 members, and they meet monthly to learn about the local beer scene, get educated on making beer, and primarily to socialize. Welcome to the show, Gloria.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Great. So you have always been a person who enjoys going to local beer events. Is that how this kind of started?
Yes, I was actually back in 2011. I worked for a brewery. So that's kind of how I was in the beer scene itself. It was by working in the industry.
And let's just back up even a little further. How did you find your way into the industry to begin with?
I started by writing, by blogging. In 2009, I had an interest in craft beer, and so I started a little blog, really just more for me to write. And I called it the Hoppy Nomad.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started volunteering at local craft beer festivals in Syracuse and upstate New York. And then that's how I got interested into actually wanting to be in the beer industry and got a job with Great Lakes Brewing Company out of Cleveland, Ohio.
I see. So
Yeah.
I'm going to guess that you did not go to college to do this. How did
No.
How did it start? Were you always somebody who enjoyed beer, or when did when did the story begin?
Well, I would say, when I started to drink beer and spirits, I leaned towards the beer. I wasn't really ever a cocktail gal. I mean, I would have my mixed drinks and everything, but I always leaned towards the beer.
Mm-hmm. Did your family enjoy beer as well, or is that just you?
Yes.
Oh, they did.
Yes, they did. My father especially always enjoyed his OV splits back in the 70s.
And now I'm guessing that probably doesn't measure up to some of the fine craft beers you're drinking.
It was an entree, let's put it that way, into the world.
Did you grow up in Syracuse?
Yes, I'm born and raised.
I see. So you had this idea because you were already doing this for a job, finding yourself at events. You're looking around and there's a lot of guys.
Yes.
Did
Yes.
you did they make make any observations about, what's a woman like you doing in a place like this?
No, if anything, most men would say, "You've got a really cool job. How can I work for a brewery?" That's what they say.
I see. And I'm sort of new to this, although I have been to some of the craft beer places in the area, but my understanding, could you explain a little bit the law changes that have enabled so many microbreweries to open recently?
Well, there have been some law changes in New York State to have breweries that are called farm breweries and basically have a certain amount of ingredients come from New York State. So that enabled a lot of people to start their breweries in New York State. So it's
I
been
see.
growing.
It
Yes.
really does seem like every time I turn around, there's another brewery that's
Yes.
opening. Uh huh.
Yes, definitely. It's not your imagination. It's happening in New York and across the country.
And is it more in New York State, or is it sort of this is just the wave of where we are now with microbreweries? This is a national phenomenon.
This is definitely a national phenomenon where people are predicting there's going to be a bubble and it's going to burst. But I don't see that right now. It's still very much growing in the whole country, but especially in New York State.
One of the things I saw on your blog posts is your real love for travel.
Yes.
And how do you combine your love for travel with your love and interest for craft beer?
Well, sometimes I will select places that I know have a strong craft beer scene that I want to get to know. For instance, Montreal, and it's within driving distance. So that's usually how I will target a place. Or if I happen to be going to a work convention or just in some random small town, I just want to check out the local beer scene no matter where I am or the reason how I got there.
That's just something that some people find thrift shops or knitting
Yes.
shops. And so I'm going to guess there's an app for craft beer locations. Is
There's
that true?
Yes, there's lots of apps out there. The one
Uh-huh.
that I use the most is called Untapped.
Uh-huh.
And you can find beers, you can find breweries, you can rate beers, you can let people know what you're drinking. So
Wow.
that's just one of the many apps that are out there.
So tell me some stories about some of the places that you've gone and drank beer.
I would have to say that my one of my first experiences as a beer connoisseur or becoming one was when I took a trip to Europe and I went to Finland. And I didn't know much about the beer scene there or that there even was one until I got there. And like I said, that's how I started writing about beer in 2009 was after my European trip in Finland. And I just noticed there was a strong local craft beer scene there with lots of microbreweries and in unique venues like an old pharmacy that was converted into a brewery or an old grammar school that was converted into a brewery as well.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was like going to these really unique places, not just regular buildings, but like historic buildings that were converted into breweries. So that was when I really got my first, taste for the thrill of craft beer and wanting to know more and write about it.
I saw something. I don't know if this is one that you visited or you know about, but I saw something when I was reading your work about a place that has dogs to adopt as well as craft beers.
Oh, yes. It's not just any one place. There are places that will do uh, adopt dog days. Basically, where I used to work in Miami, Florida, the brewery I worked at when I lived in Florida, basically once a month would have these dog events, and the local chapter of dog rescue places would show up with adoptable
Ah.
dogs, so you could go and you could meet these dogs, and you're having a beer, and I witnessed a dog adoption right in front of me, and it was really lovely. It was so lovely. So yeah.
I know that at least in our area, Willow Rock you can bring dogs in on leashes and I think 315 as well.
Yes, most of the breweries do allow dogs in Syracuse. Yeah, like Middle Ages and Eastwood.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what's the other one? WT in Baldwinsville
Mm-hmm.
allows dogs. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the places are dog friendly.
I see. And is that something that you enjoy? Are you a dog person?
Yes, I have a dog. I have a Chihuahua mix,
Uh-huh.
and my husband and I take him to the breweries, wherever we go when we're traveling throughout the country and we're on the road. We always make sure the breweries are dog friendly so that we can bring our dog.
I see. I
Yeah.
see. It seems like, I don't know if this is my imagination, but it seems like a lot of people who enjoy this craft also enjoy dogs.
Yes.
Yeah. Huh.
I don't know what the connection is
Right.
because I'm a dog owner myself, but there are many events tailored to dogs at breweries. Um, a lot of breweries across the country are pet friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not sure. I'm not really not sure what the connection is there with dog lovers and beer lovers, but they happen to go hand in hand, and I
Mm-hmm.
see it all the time.
That's really nice. And of course, we have a great place here, Helping Hounds.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, that's how I got my dog.
And as me as well.
Yeah, yep.
So, give me a little snapshot of what it looks like with your group, Syracuse Women of Craft Beer. You meet about once a month, and how does it go? You decide where you're going to go.
Yeah, so basically, the way it's been done, the way I've been doing it, is I pick a theme. I choose a theme in something that pops in my head, or somebody may request a theme, and then I'll find a brewery and I'll talk to the brewery and say, "Listen, can we have our next event here? And I'd like to do beer and cheese pairings, or beer and chocolate pairing." Or have the history of Syracuse brewing, New York State brewing, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll have a local speaker come in. And that's pretty much how we do it. There's always some sort of educational component to our
Mm-hmm.
events. It's not just a happy hour women's group where you're just drinking and socializing. You're actually
Mm.
getting a brewery tour, or you're sampling a food that would pair well with a certain style of beer. So that's pretty much how our events go on a monthly basis.
And is there a typical member that you see?
No, actually, we get a wide range of women that come in, anywhere from 20s to 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Women in their 60s. We get all professions uh, throughout. Um, yeah, no, there isn't any one specific kind of woman that comes in. It's a unified bunch of women who are really interested in craft beer. They may know a lot, they may know nothing or a little, and they
Mm.
want to learn more. And this is a group where they can find that.
Do they want to make beer themselves?
Some of them do want to make beer themselves. Some of them already do. Some of them are actually brewery owners or brewers. So, we have a lot of experienced women in our group.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have women who also want to learn. So, this is where the dialogue among the women as they're, socializing after we're done with a tour or a lecture series, they'll get to know each other and
I
talk about
see.
these things. Yes.
I see. So there's many levels. It's not just you're getting together to drink a beer. There's a lot of levels here of learning, of understanding, of, history, of the chemistry, the art, all of this.
Yes,
It's
definitely.
fascinating. Do you find that there are more women brewers now? Is that also increasing?
I think so overall in the country. I couldn't speak to the numbers or anything like that, but
Mm-hmm.
being involved with the Syracuse Women of Craft Beer and having worked at this point, I've worked at three different breweries. I just firsthand have seen the increase of women working in breweries as brewers or other positions in a brewery, from brand ambassadors to bar staff to management. They're in all aspects of the beer industry.
Mm-hmm. I see. That's interesting. I was just looking. I don't know if you're familiar with the Albuquerque beer scene,
No.
but there is a very interesting story with two women who own a brewery called Bow and Arrow. And I think that they are, if they're not the only ones, it's a very small number of Native American women brewery owners. So they have their own notoriety.
I have not heard of them
Uh huh.
at all, but that sounds like an
A
interesting
good place for
place.
you. That may be next on your list.
Yeah, that might be next on my travel itinerary.
I understand just because I'm taking a trip out there that they have a very nice bunch of IPAs, and it is definitely brewery culture and a coffee culture. So that
Uh,
kind of hits the big ones.
right.
So that's so interesting. Where do you have an idea of where you'd like to see your group growing or developing?
I see the group, and it's been around since January 2014. I see the group really as something that's stable, something that I want to remain in Syracuse. I left for a few years to Florida and had another woman take over the group. And I was so thrilled that she did because I didn't want the group to go away just because I did. So my hope is that the group remains in the Syracuse, beer scene, regardless of my leadership or my involvement. I want it to be something that's it's just a part of the Syracuse beer scene, and it really is. Breweries and people in the industry know about the Syracuse Women of Craft Beer, so that's all I ever wanted, and for women to continue to find a place that they can go to. But it's not about numbers. It's not about gaining notoriety. It's really just about being in the community and staying in the community.
Mm-hmm. And I'm curious if they're men. I mean, this sounds like a really wonderful group. Are there men who are trying to join you?
Yes, definitely. We've gotten some requests. Can men join? Are men allowed? And I thank the men for their interest, but I tell them, I'm sorry, this is a women's group,
Mm-hmm.
and there are times where we do allow men, particularly when we do our anniversary party. Everybody is allowed. The whole public is allowed.
And where is that?
We've had it at different venues. For our first and second year anniversary, we had them at the Syracuse Polish Home with really
Mm-hmm.
good turnouts. And then the third and fourth anniversary, we had our parties at the Erie Canal Museum,
Nice.
which was spectacular. We had a local
Oh.
bluegrass band playing,
Oh.
and we had about 70 people come and show up, and we had different breweries represent themselves and donate beer. Um,
Wonderful.
yeah, and we just celebrated our 5th year anniversary, and we celebrated it at Buried Acorn
Mm-hmm.
Brewing Company, and there were men there. We allowed the men to partake with us,
Mm-hmm.
so we include them once in a while.
Once in a while, just so they can see what they're missing.
Exactly.
Do you feel comfortable talking about what your favorite beer and maybe your favorite local brewery
Oh,
is?
wow. Well, there's so many beer styles out there. I would honestly have to say that it really does depend on my mood,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm in the mood for. Um, I would say I always love IPAs, but there are times, like months, where I don't feel like having one, where I'd rather have something more malty.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'd rather have a Vienna lager, let's say, or a stout. So I would have to say that I don't have one particular style that I like. It really does just depend on my mood
Mm-hmm.
at that particular time. In terms of breweries, I would have to say that Middle Ages, who has been around for a very long time, is one of my favorite breweries in Syracuse, and one of the newest ones, actually Buried Acorn, has become a quick favorite of mine as well. So you've got like one of the oldest ones in Syracuse and one
Ah.
of the newest ones.
And then you
And
can go across to the mall and get some shoes or something.
exactly, exactly. So yeah, I mean, I love all the breweries. I support all of the breweries in the Syracuse and Central New York area. They all bring something to the table.
You know, as somebody who's not a big beer drinker, but I do try to do my wifely duty, and I often bring my knitting, which may be a little odd, but for people like me who are not big drinkers, I'm more of a taster and a sipper. I always wish that there was a little, like, nice hot chocolate or a little nice, piece of brownie or something that could be offered. But my experience is that the licenses that folks have limit what they can offer for food. Is that correct?
Um, I think it depends on the brewery, honestly, whether or not they have a license to serve food. Um, there's a new there's a new brewery out in Pompey called Heritage Hill, and they are a full service restaurant. The Empire Brewery has a farm
Yes.
brewery in
That's a
Cazenovia.
great one.
Yeah,
Yep.
and they have, it's a restaurant as well as their downtown location. Lot of the other breweries have food trucks, so you can get food from the food truck outside and bring it into the brewery. And a lot of the breweries that don't serve any food are more than happy to let customers bring in their own food or order pizza and bring it in.
Bring it in. Yeah, I know. In Willow Rock, you can go to Danzers, and people bring food, and they have nice
Yes,
little picnics, and
yes,
that's really lovely.
yep.
So, we're talking to women who are sort of middle age and over and sort of looking for something now to do with their time. Often they've launched their children, and they may or may not be kind of winding down on their career. Depends how old they are. And many of them are a little puzzled about, okay, how do I meet new friends? How do I, what's my next step here? Not my old life isn't really fitting anymore, but my new life isn't really created. Is this something that you would suggest that they would just come and sort of say hello and see if this is a good fit for them?
Absolutely. I think coming to one of our events doesn't mean you have to be a hardcore beer drinker. I think the first motivation is really to meet other women in locally. Some people make best friends. Some people hang out outside of the group, and it's because of the group that they've met. So I would say for anybody who is looking to do something new outside of the box, and maybe kind of get out of your comfort zone a little bit, but know that you'll be entering a very welcoming space, then I would definitely say that women of at a certain stage of their lives would definitely enjoy one of our events. Definitely.
It sounds very comfortable.
It is.
I can imagine that, you're not going around and having to introduce yourselves and talk about why you've joined and your history and your strengths and weaknesses. It's not a job interview.
No, it's nothing like that. Nothing.
Nothing like that.
No, I always make sure I bring "Hello, my name is" stickers,
Uh-huh.
so that way we wear them, and it's easier to talk to the other women because you don't have to struggle to remember their name.
Oh, that's
It's
very nice.
it's already on their, on themselves. So I always make sure that we have name tags.
Is there any system in place for designated drivers?
No, there is not. The good thing about our events is that they're only about 2 hours long, and I always make sure that there is food included. And women usually know to pace it and that it's not, a night out drinking. So the amount that we drink is really not a lot when it's all said and done, because you're doing a brewery tour or you've got somebody speaking to you about, as I said, the history of New York State brewing. So you're engaged, but you're not necessarily just drinking.
Right. You're not playing beer pong.
No, never.
Okay.
No, not at all.
All right.
That's another group.
That's yeah, right. We don't crisscross with that group.
No.
Do you have anything you'd like to add or share, Gloria, before we say goodbye, in terms of women feeling like they really want to join, but they're nervous and they don't really know what to expect? And anything you'd like to add?
I would just like to say that, if as long as you have an open mind and you do like beer, or if you're not sure you like beer, to come give it a try. I always think that it's best to try something at least once. And if you don't like it, then you could say, oh, I've already tried it. But you won't know unless you try. And you just never know who you're going to meet.
That's wonderful. Where can people find Syracuse Women of Craft Beer, learn more about you, and sign up?
Sure. We are on Facebook. We have a Facebook page called the Syracuse Women of Craft Beer. And we are also on meetup.com.
Okay.
So you can just type in Syracuse Women of Craft Beer on Meetup.
Okay.
And we're always posting, so it's very easy to find us and communicate with us on both platforms.
That's lovely. I think at least the people who we're speaking to in central New York will be interested in finding out more. Some of our folks in other continents may not have that opportunity, but I'm hoping it gives them the idea maybe to make their own meetup.
Yeah, I mean, I started it from an idea in my head, and you can create one too. And if not, there are other women groups, there are other women-based groups out there, like Girls Pint Out, that are throughout the country and internationally, I believe. So, it doesn't hurt to look in wherever you live, to look for, just Google women and craft beer in your area, and you can find something. If not, then start a meetup.
That's a great idea. I'll often talk to my clients about, joining something, and, it's harder maybe at this age to make new friends. But this seems like a good way to do it, not too intimidating, and, you're listening, you're learning, and, if it doesn't work out, that's fine. It's not a huge investment.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. It's not a huge investment at all. At the very least, you could say that you went and you met some people. But I've made so many friends that I would have never met that live right here in Syracuse, and I'm really happy that because of that.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, Gloria, and talking about Syracuse Women of Craft Beer. It's something I knew very little about, and I'm really delighted to know that it exists, and this will all be put on the program notes so people will be able to find you.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm very pleased to have spoken with you, definitely.
Great. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us on Zestful Aging. If you like the podcast, please share with some of your friends. I love to hear from my listeners. Send me an email at NicoleChristina.com. And please consider becoming a patron of the show. You will get access to exclusive bonuses, and you will be part of the Zestful Aging community. Keep us going strong. Go to patreon.com/zestful. www.zestfulaging. See you next time for another episode of Zestful Aging.